Well, since Halloween is tomorrow, I thought it only fitting that we talk this morning about demons. Our lesson this morning raises some pretty interesting questions. I think for most of us, the first thought is, do I believe in demons? Do I believe in them? I mean, after all, this is the 21st century. We are an intelligent, sophisticated people, right? Do we really believe there are demons? Isn't that just a primitive way pre-modern people explain the unexplainable of early days? Well, I wrestle with that question. And I have to tell you, if you're talking about demons like in the movie The Exorcist, or evil little creatures like in the movie Gremlins, or monsters, then I'd have to say I'm just not sure. Catholic priests still perform occasional exorcisms, so perhaps there is a real life phenomenon, but it's not been part of my reality. Even so, I do believe there are demons in this world today. You know, I've known too many people who have spent at least some period in their lives wrestling with demons to ever be able to pretend they don't exist. There are a lot of demons out there tormenting people, wrecking their lives. You know them. Demons like addiction, depression, mental illness, anger, abuse, compulsions. The list goes on and on. They plague the ones they possess, controlling them, destroying them, sometimes even driving them to live out in the tombs, flirting with death, leaving behind all they love and cherish most. The demons ruin their ability lives. And of course, they also disrupt the lives of all those who care about the one who is possessed. So yes, I believe there are demons in our midst today. I think a second important question that this story raises is this. Do I believe God has the power to destroy demons? And I must answer yes, yes. The death and resurrection of Jesus the Christ is the definitive answer. God is greater than any evil that exists in this world. Yes. Now let me clarify that by saying that for some holy, mysterious reason, God may not always bring healing in a momentary, miraculous event like this one we read about in Luke. It doesn't always happen that way, does it? Instead, we are often given the grace and the strength to live with and fight with those demons. Often demons lose their power in a slower process of disconnection. Sometimes we have to wrestle with them for years, but with God's help, we grow stronger and they grow weaker. That exorcism may take a lifetime, but I'm convinced that God is able to overcome our demons through medicine, psychiatry, counseling, caring and loving family and friends, support groups, 12-step programs, prayer, laying on of hands. God uses a myriad of vehicles through which to exorcise our demons. But in the end, we must follow Jesus' instruction to the former demoniac. Return home and tell the story of what God has done for you. In whatever way it happens, it is God who heals us, right? If we are willing to name our demons and ask God for help. The third question the story raises is this. Why did the other Gerasenes fear Jesus and ask him to leave? It's interesting, isn't it? I mean, Jesus has just healed one of their own. The man who was as good as dead was given back to them, restored to health. Instead of clamoring for Jesus, the healer, to stay, to work miracles, they what? They asked him to leave. There are some scholars who have suggested that these folks were upset with Jesus because he caused their herd of pigs to drown. Some, maybe all of these people made their livelihood caring for pigs, maybe even other people's pigs. And now the demons had possessed the pigs and together they had been destroyed. Jesus had just upset the economy and possibly cost them their jobs, maybe even their only possession in the world. The demons in our world have quite an impact on our economy as well. Imagine the losses if they didn't wield the power they do. Pornography, gambling, illegal drugs, quacks and charlatans, get-rich-quick hucksters, sellers of the black market, tenders of bars, pusher of pills, would all stand to lose considerably if somehow the demons that possess us were sent packing. No wonder they tell Jesus to get out. Things might get too out of whack. Better to just send him on his way. Some of you may be familiar with the concept called systems theory, a common sense idea that basically says in a system, the parts all work together. So if one part is not working right, if it's out of balance, the rest of the system will adjust to accommodate it. A system grows accustomed to that broken part, and it's very difficult for the whole system if that broken part gets fixed, because all the other parts in the system have to then change as well. The theory is used to explain what happens in a family or business or church when a broke one gets fixed. For example, when an alcoholic gets sober, we find that sometimes family members think they want that person to get well. But in fact, his or her getting well means that they then must do some very hard work in changing themselves as well. And sometimes that turns out to be more than they bargained for. I can't help but think maybe some of that goes on in whole communities as well. What will happen if the town demoniac is no longer playing his role? To whom will folks feel superior? To whom will they take their charity baskets? Whose children will they provide Christmas gifts for? Band-aids are far easier to apply than solutions to deep-seated systemic problems. I'm afraid far too often we're okay with the demons being around. They fit into the system we've created. And change is just plain hard. I surmise that the other reason these folks asked Jesus to leave was because they feared he might ask them about their own demons. As we all know, Jesus is prone to going to meddling. As long as we stay focused on the other, we don't have to admit our own demons. Notice the first thing Jesus says to the demon possessing the man. What is your name? There is power in naming the demon. It's the first step in the healing process. Maybe the other people have never admitted their own demons and therefore never had to move into that uncomfortable process of healing and growing. Well, sure, I'm angry. You would be too if you worked with a boss like mine. Well, yes, I micromanage and overfunction, but somebody has to. The rest of them aren't doing it. Sure, I suffer low self-esteem, but that's because my dad loved booze, women, and gambling more than me. Besides, we say, my demons aren't really that bad. At least they aren't like so-and-so's. But there's Jesus pressing us. Name it. Name it, he says, so you can begin to deal with it. God wants you to be well, to be healthy, to be whole. God can help you beat this thing. If there's anything people learned quickly about Jesus, it was that he would not leave them alone. He wanted what was best for them, but what is best for us is not always easy for us, is it? Jesus is here to help us oust our demons. Through Jesus, God wants to move us into becoming the whole and holy creatures God created us to be. As the founder of Methodism, John Wesley, put it, with God's help and grace, we are all going on to perfection. I wonder if we, like the Gerasenes, are overcome with great fear. As the late monk and theologian Henry Nouwen observed, most people cling to the old ways and prefer the security of their misery to the insecurity of joy. So will we ask Jesus to leave? Or will we dare to be healed, to be made whole? Thanks be to God. Amen.